Hey, everybody. Good morning. Back in the chairs again. Paul Ihander with you, as the big voice said. Max Goren is back as well. 9 o'clock on this July the 7th as we move forward on this Tuesday morning. Good morning to all the parents in drop-off today as a number of Wake County kids go back to school. Yes, July the 7th, it's a school day. And you can tell with a little bit more traffic this morning, too. So just bear with everybody. Remember, school buses, don't go flying by them. Don't be stupid. The sign says stop on the side of the school bus. That doesn't mean roll through it or go past it at 40 miles an hour.
There are kids in school today?
Yes, there are.
Wow.
There are kids.
Is that like year-round schedule or something?
Year-round schedule. Tracks 1 and 3 are in today, I believe. So,
wow.
yes, nope, campuses will be alive once again.
That sucks for those kids. I didn't do that as a kid, so.
You had a traditional school calendar?
Late August to beginning of June.
That's the role for the traditional, but for the year-round kids in Wake County, and they keep reducing a lot of those schools in year-round. I think it's going to go away at some point. Everyone will go traditional, and we'll all have that summer break off, and every kid will be looking for a summer job at the same time around here. Just how it works. It's what it is. Do kids still look for summer jobs? Is that a thing still? Or do they just post TikToks and earn pennies? My kid mows lawns and does things. He's 12. I make him mow lawns. Neighbors need help? Go over there and knock on their door, damn it. $5, $2, I don't care. Go earn your keep. Earn your keep! Much like Team USA did for about a month in the World Cup. And then, like all good hosts at the party, you kind of bow out early. And there was never going to be an early for Team USA. There was never going to be, honestly, a late for Team USA. In my humble opinion, Team USA was not ahead of the curve. They weren't behind the curve as well. They are what they are. Ranked 16th in the world. Imagine that. You made the round of 16 and you're out. 16th. It's what it is. Did you have a shot to win the whole thing? A slim opportunity. Things would have had to go your way for sure.
No.
See, I disagree with that. I don't like that attitude. I don't like hey, we're just here to have fun and however far we get is however far we get. No.
Come on, you can see from the game last night.
No, from last night's game, they were awful. They were awful. Absolutely. But up until last night's game, they played pretty good football or soccer, to be honest. 4-1. That was the final to the Red Devils, to Belgium. They were happy in Seattle. Monday Night Football fell flat for Team USA. It's a good thing it got stormy around here not Stormy the pig for the Carolina Hurricanes and the hog, I'm sorry. But a good thing the weather got stormy because watch parties would have been deflated 35 minutes into that match last night. Team USA got overwhelmed. Team USA didn't matter who they had on the field. It could have been the Super Friends at that point.
Yeah, it was domination. I mean, even the 8-10 minutes in, whenever Belgium scored the first goal, and they keep flashing the stats on the screen. Like Belgium has 6 shots, right, 3 on goal. U.S. has 0.
Corner kick,
0 on net. Yeah,
no corner kicks, no nothing.
It was very obvious, and again, they were lucky to get the one back on the free kick. They took a deflection, so back-to-back games with a free kick goal. I'm surprised they didn't record it as an own goal because, I mean, I guess in theory it was still going on frame, but maybe the keeper, Courtois, would have saved it. But back-to-back games with the free kick goal for Malik Tillman, and then they're just not able to capitalize off that momentum. They give up a goal for Belgium to go back ahead almost instantly.
Yes, 60 seconds.
And just it just felt like they couldn't get that attacking threat really going again. And then defensively, it was just an absolute disaster. Tim Ream, Charlotte FC.
Oh, my God.
Not putting on his best performance as the U.S. captain.
God.
Yeah, to say the least. And then the keeper freeze on the third goal that really basically put the U.S. to bed and made it 3-1 pretty early in the second half.
That was the moment.
What are you doing, man?
Even in my house. Like, my wife, she's like, what just happened?
Just let it fly and get it out of danger. The hesitance. I saw a lot of people compare it to, I think it was Younghoe Koo with he went to kick the extra point for the Giants and just stopped the kick right before hitting the ball. That's kind of what the move that he was doing. I just don't know. And granted, we'll never understand his perspective because we're not in that situation. But just what possesses you if you're that far out to not just clear the ball? I don't understand.
I don't think a lot of folks did last night. But it was good feelings for a month, right? And now all the hosts are gone. Mexico first, Canada second, and now Team USA out. You still have good soccer to be played. Someone had to be disappointed. I think that's the thing when it comes to the World Cup and you come this far. And it happens in the college football playoff as well. When you get to this round, you're just going to be disappointed. You can't just be happy that not everybody can be Cape Verde, right? You can't be Cabo Verde. There's a certain you got to get here to see if you can actually compete, not just play hard and come up short and be like the Cinderella Wonder Dogs, whatever it happens to be. All of a sudden, hey, I've got 800,000 Instagram followers when I had 80 when we started this thing. It can't just be all happy go lucky. You only get a couple of those teams. When you get here to this point, there's disappointment. When you get to the round of 8, there's expectation because now when you're out here, you're seeing all the teams ahead of you and you're going, oh, and you're sitting at home. That's the unfortunate part. Mexico, Canada, Team USA, all sitting at home watching all these other teams, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, yeah, I could have beat them. Yeah, we could have beat them. Yeah, we could have beat them too. They weren't overwhelmed yesterday. Team USA was underwhelming. Absolutely. So, Casey Keller, University of Portland graduate. I know Casey fairly well from watching him goal keep back in the day. Described what he felt was the tournament overall summary for the men's national team.
I wouldn't go failure. I think the team did, fine. I mean, they beat the teams they were supposed to beat. And, I was kind of really hoping that the Turkey game was going to mean something. So, because I think that would have been a great little test to see where they were pushing forward. But, no, I think it was a good tournament. It wasn't a great tournament. They needed to come up with one of those special results that they weren't able to today. Belgium looked like the Belgium we expected from day one, and that day one didn't happen. Maybe they just realized that 2-0 down against Senegal, and they just rode that momentum of coming back. I think they made some great decisions in taking some of the older players out and putting fresh legs in, but not only that, they passed like we expect Belgium to pass. The 1-2 touch combos in midfield, the wide play, they really put the U.S. on their heels from the very first minute. And the U.S. just couldn't respond. Like Jurgen said, they needed to be cleaner. They needed to be better, and they weren't. And they got humbled tonight.
You remember the movie Longest Yard where Paul Crewe, he has to kind of throw the first part of the final game? And that's kind of what Team USA was in that first half, just kind of stumbling. Couldn't complete passes, just not in sync. There was not a lot of good timing plays, and you could tell there was some desperation in how Team USA was playing when they started just kind of kicking it deep and let's just go out and run them and see what happens. Let's see if we can get to one of those. And they did get to a few of them, but they weren't able to convert it into opportunity at all. It was all right, well, let's just settle it back into the midfield and see if we can create something. And Belgium pressured, and that's what you end up with, a 4-1 loss to Belgium. Team USA gets to lick its wounds. Fans get to, put away the face paint and tuck away those credit cards for the credit card bills that are coming based on the exorbitant prices. It doesn't mean the soccer ends. There's still 2 more weeks of soccer in grand play, and today you get to see the greatest player in the world play soccer at noon today if you decide to do that in Argentina taking on Egypt. That'll be a banger. For sure. And then the Swiss and Colombia take on the pseudo nightcap, so to speak, at 4 o'clock this afternoon. But we all move forward, right? The games will continue. The round of 8 begins Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we settle in, and there's plenty of more soccer. But the fever that has taken over North America will now kind of simmer, right? We all get to take a couple of aspirin, let things calm down a little bit, and move forward. But for the United States men's national team, now where do they move forward? There was a thought early on, and it was a question posed about, is Team USA better than it's ever been before? And for me, I actually say no. And the reason why I say no is because you talk about the Cup runs 25 years ago, and you talk about the national team that's moved forward and the indecisions that have come with leadership, and certainly the fact that they've finally opened up a training center in Atlanta, an actual place where there's some sort of ascension in putting teams together, and there's some thought being put into it, will get them to that next point. But as the United States got better, the world got better too. It's like the world came back to the U.S., and the U.S. is like, oh, we're getting better, and we're competing with the world and whatnot. The round of 16 is fantastic, but we've seen round of 16 over and over and over again. We've seen round of 32. Even with the expanded field, you're still stalling out in the same place. I'm not saying they got better. They might be better organized at this point, but the world got just as good as the United States did, and they will continue to be better than the United States until you get that magical moment or that magical player like a Messi or De Bruyne or a Mbappe or whoever you want it to be.
Yeah, and I don't think that player is coming anytime soon for the United States, unfortunately, because only a couple of nations get that player, and those are the Argentinas and Portugals and Frances and Spains of the world, and not the United States. I mean, it's just more of the same. It's just another round of 16 exit. It being super familiar with it being Belgium again, just like 2014. I mean, it's been round of 16 ever since they made the quarterfinal run in 2002, which was honestly miraculous in its own right. Every other tournament that they've made it, other than 2018, obviously, where they didn't qualify, it's either been round of 16 or a group stage exit, and it was more of the same. They ran into an actual quality opponent, and they got beat handily last night. And it looked like maybe there was more hope because they looked a lot stronger in the first couple of games in terms of group stage, just because, again, with this expanded field, like the overall quality of the teams in the group stage is lower. There is no group of death anymore. It's pretty much expected if you are an average team that you can get through pretty much no problem. They looked maybe a little too good for their own good against Paraguay. They looked solid against Australia. Obviously, didn't really matter what happened against Turkey, so they play the B team and end up losing that one. But again, didn't ultimately hold that much weight. And then they had a quote unquote knockout win against Bosnia, which is a team that in any other tournament either doesn't even qualify or certainly doesn't make it to the knockout stage. But they get to feel good. U.S. gets to feel good about themselves for getting the win there and advancing to the round of 16, which is the exit point for them pretty much every World Cup, and it just continues on here. So we thought this generation was supposed to be a little bit different, a little bit better, but it's just fallen short in the same ways that pretty much every other generation of U.S. men's soccer has. And I don't know who that falls at the feet of: leadership, coaching, players. I mean, Christian Pulisic definitely did not really ascend to that level that you'd like to see him ascend to.
I don't think he even had the fitness, to be honest, after he got hurt.
No, and
he just couldn't get back.
He wasn't in good form in the months leading up to the tournament either. I think he went something like 5 months without scoring, but and then he ends up leaving with the injury as well, which didn't help. And then it was just all in all, it was a pretty average World Cup for the United States, and unfortunately, that is the standard for U.S. men's soccer, is losing in the round of 16.
Well, organizationally, the national team should be better, and it is better organizationally. And as they open up the new training center in Atlanta, maybe they'll be ready again in another 4 years. Maybe it's 4 years. But the hopes now go to the Women's World Cup next year, right? Women's World Cup next year. So we'll be able to focus on that. And again, you got some really cool USA stuff. I'm like, if there was going to be a year where you could kind of buy into the hype and lean into it a little bit harder, America's 250th birthday. Plenty of red, white, and blue. No shame in that whatsoever. No shame in where they finished. But at this point, and this is the disappointment, I think, for USA fans, for soccer, is that you have to watch other teams gun for what you were hoping for. And you still are watching, at least for the time being, star players do star things. Lionel Messi is going back onto the pitch today. You have the amazing case of huge Caniac Erling Haaland. You have France still in it with Mbappe. There are stars. There's no doubt about it. And yesterday we saw stars exit too. Ronaldo no longer playing in World Cups. He's done. Neymar Jr. also done. Like these names that are worldly known when it comes to the game of soccer, the sport of soccer. There's a new generation coming. But for right now, embrace the GOATs. And one of those GOATs plays today at noon again, Argentina in Egypt in a noon kick. That one's indoors, by the way, just down the road here in Atlanta. So expect some fireworks in that one.
I'm Max Goren with 3 things you need to know right now from 99.9 The Fan. The U.S. men's national team was eliminated from the World Cup in convincing fashion last night, losing to Belgium 4-1 in the round of 16. Malik Tillman scored the lone goal for the U.S. on a free kick in the 31st minute. The USMNT has not finished past the round of 16 since 2002. Cristiano Ronaldo's World Cup career came to an end yesterday as well, with his native Portugal eliminated from the tournament by Spain 1-0. Ronaldo, who has 11 career World Cup goals, became the first man to score in 6 different World Cups earlier in the tournament. The Durham Bulls are in first place to start the International League second half, and tonight they head down south to kick off a series against the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Bulls coverage is available on 620 AM Buzz Sports Radio, 99.9 FM HD2, and WRAL News Plus, with first pitch scheduled for 7:05 p.m. For all the latest news on your favorite teams, download the 99.9 The Fan app or visit 999thefan.com.
Kids are back in school today, so just take a little bit of easiness around many of the campuses. There'll be school buses out there. Don't pass the school bus. When it's got the red lights on, don't do it. Someone's going to get caught. And I don't know about you, I don't have an extra couple $100 lying around. Now, apparently, the Carolina Hurricanes don't either, because they haven't signed Alex Nikishin to a new contract. There's 2 sides to this. And I think I land a bit more on the Carolina Hurricanes side than I do the players' side. And I want to get players should be paid their worth. I think we've seen that. College sports has changed a lot of minds when it comes to that. But professionally, you're like, are they worth the money? And this is where I lay on the Carolina Hurricanes side, because they have the patience. And this is where, if you have a good agent who is minding your business and minding your money, put you in the right situation possible. So I don't feel sorry for the player in this case. The Carolina Hurricanes are in absolutely no rush. Eric freaking Tulsky, that's what we're going to call him, is in no rush to get a deal done. He can hold out and wait for the most overwhelming deal possible. And I understand the lack or the impatience of fans, because we would just like the next season to get here, right? I'm like, we're already ready to go. We're already ready to go. We filled up the buckets with our Stanley Cup stuff. We're still finding it on discount. We're still posting stuff like, hey, man, I just found the latest Yeti. Hey, man, I just found the hat. It's $10, 10% off. I just found the T-shirt. They're sending me new stuff through Fanatic. Whatever it is. I understand the impatience for the next season to get here, because this team, again, without Freddie Anderson, and right now without Alexander Nikishin on the roster, is the exact same team you will be going to war with in just 2 months. Yes, indeed. We are expecting the NHL schedule here in a couple of weeks. And we know, because of the expanded schedule, that the preseason, we already have those dates. The regular season could start October 1, perhaps, at home. Maybe it's September 30th. Who knows? One of those days. Midweek, raise the banner. We'll be on the plaza, that kind of thing. But we know that's sneaking up on us a lot quicker than I think a lot of us want to. So let's just get it here. Carolina Hurricanes are in absolutely zero rush to trade Alexander Nikishin. They have no reason to go out and force a deal on anybody. And there are no teams right now, because we know this, because Alexander Nikishin is still a Carolina Hurricane under an offer sheet, that have overwhelmed the front office of the Canes to where they're like, yeah, we'll take that. And we've heard that the New York Rangers were close to making a deal, offering picks, because, the Rangers like to offer picks, and they're running out of those. And we know that a number of other teams have kicked the tires, and whether it's because of the money ask or the projected money ask, no one's putting the number out there. We're all guessing. Like, even the insiders are guessing on the number. We get some indications in terms of, like, equivalency, right? When it comes to contracts and where players will land. So, for example, Calgary, yesterday, signing Simon Nemec, 5 years, $36.25 million. That's 5 years. So that's $7.25. He's 22 years old, right? 22 years old, and when Calgary traded for him, it was 2 first-round picks and a second-rounder. So we kind of know what the asking price would be. We also know at least roughly, what the signing price should be for the Carolina Hurricanes, and that's giving the Carolina Hurricanes some pause based on the amount of money that they have available to them under the cap, which is just under $10 million. The cap hit for Nemec is $7.25. If that is the money they give to Alexander Nikishin, they're done. They're done. They're done shopping. The flexibility is gone, and when it comes to making moves near the deadline in the next year, see, we're playing strategy and we're playing some 3D chess now. The flexibility for the following year, or for the following kind of trade deadline, becomes really limited, and now you're being forced to move a piece, whether you like it or you're not, if you need help.
I'm guessing based on the reporting, and like you said, like in terms of the number that Nikishin's asking for, like no one knows exactly what it is, but if he were willing to take that same contract that Simon Nemec just signed, I think it would already be done. I think he's got to be asking for more, because the report was the reason a trade didn't materialize with the Rangers is because his contract ask is too much for them as well. So whatever the number is, I feel like it's got to at least be starting with an 8 and probably looking for some decent term as well, given some of the contracts that have been handed out over the last week or so. But at some point, like, because he can't go to arbitration.
Correct.
Can't be offer sheeted.
Correct.
Yeah, at what point does somebody give in? I think it would have to be somebody on his camp that would have to either lighten up on the contract demand or be open to, I guess, signing for less elsewhere for a bigger role, because, I mean, if not, he's kind of hamstrung and can't play. If you're going to stick to your guns in terms of the contract demand that much, well, Carolina is not known for coming off of their number when it comes to a player value. I think they'd be willing to just kind of sit and let it go.
And
now,
there's 3 more seasons of this too.
Yeah.
He doesn't go unrestricted till 2029.
Well, ultimately, if he didn't sign and they just kind of held out, what does that end up materializing into? Would he end up being released next offseason? Would he have to go back to
Russia,
Russia in the KHL to play? I don't know. I feel like at this point they're moving rather quickly towards trade will be the ultimate conclusion of this saga. But again, if he doesn't come down off the contract ask, they can't even do that either. So again, I think if it was something like that Nemec trade, in terms of what they've done in the NHL, even though it's only been a season for Alexander Nikishin, like he's definitely earned a contract of that caliber. And I think if that's what he was asking for, I think Carolina themselves would have just signed him to that, or whatever other team is interested in a trade would have done the same. So I think the ask it's got to be at least 8. And I think that's kind of been the rumor, even though no one knows exactly what their camp is looking for.
And if it's 8, that's the balking point, I think, for a lot of teams. They're who's working with cap space? Can they afford to take the flyer, and can they afford to use the term? I think term is limited. It's you're counting on future performance. In the NHL is littered with contracts that have counted on future performance, and I would say that a lot of them have actually worked out better than not when it comes to younger players. It's the aging contracts, the older contracts signed by older players that have tended to not work out unless you are special cases. Tom Wilson, Sidney Cross. I mean, but I'm talking about like elite level players now at this point. I'm not talking about dudes that are 22, 23. And those are still working out. I'm like, don't get me wrong. Mitch Marner had a monster season. His first year in a contract, played to the contract. There's no one's regretting that one. He sold a lot of jerseys too at the same time. And youth runs wild. The term is interesting because you see a guy, you get the Carlson deal, which was 8.75 going to Tampa, 2 years AAV, 8.75 each year, 8.25 for Trouba. Bowen Byram's 12.5. I'm like, the markets got reset within 72 hours, and then they continue to do so to where you've heard us talk about this before. The Carolina Hurricanes math in the past worked out really well, and now it feels like, for the older generations like me, looking at their kids who are doing the new math right now with the tens and the boxing and the little drawings and whatnot, where I could just solve it in my head without having to show the work. That's the different new math that the Hurricanes are having to deal with, but they are not going to budge on it. They're not going to budge on what they value players at. And as the cap keeps going up, the values will change. This is the tip of the iceberg, to use the easiest, most common cliche for the Hurricanes. Next year, they have more challenging decisions to make unless they address them during the season with guys like Jalen Chatfield and with guys like Shane Gostisbehere and Jordan Martinook and Jordan Stahl. How do you deal with the new math there in thinking that loyalty will come into a factor, if that is still a thing in professional sports? You're only as loyal as that check grows, right? I'm like, you pay me, you give me more money, I'll stay. It's where we have come to. More money, less problems, unlike what Biggie would say. More money, more problems, no, less problems. You buy the loyalty with the cash. This is just the first part of it for the Canes. It'll be a much different math equation next year for this team going into free agency. If they can find the perfect solution now for Nikishin and figure that one out and make everybody happy, because we all know what it's like to have a player that's not happy in your camp. It messes people up. You all saw it play out in real time here 2 seasons ago. In real time, when guys are not happy with their situations. You don't want that happening again, especially with a Stanley Cup winning team and going after a back-to-back. And you get to say that because you just won the cup.